gosh, it's been forever. I apologize. I have not done a video in a while. But it's not because I don't love you all. It's because I've just been super busy. I finished my forward testing. My forward testing started in January and it ended in June. And honestly, the results were less than stellar. Did not break even, and I only had a win rate of about 49%. So not good enough to go forward, but that's not deterring me. I learned a lot, and so I am in the process of regrouping, refocusing, pulling together all the tools that I found useful and created along the way. And I thought what I would do is I would share a lessons learned with you. It's a little video about some of the things that I learned during this forward test. A lot of them are just common sense, but I think that it always is good to revisit these types of things to remind ourselves of what's really important. I am planning to keep going. I'm not disappearing on you, but I won't be doing the everyday forward testing videos. I'll just be doing some more deeper dive videos and maybe some quick tip type videos because I really feel as though we formed a really great community, and the more I can continue to share with you guys and you can share with me, we'll all just continue to grow together. So anyway, without further ado, I want to share with you 5 really important lessons learned from my forward testing. Just to sort of organize these 5 important lessons learned. And again, they might seem like common sense, but they really make a big difference when you are trying to put together an algorithm and work your system. So number 1, set up a useful layout. I mean, this does kind of seem like common sense, but you'd be surprised how long it took me to realize a couple of these tricks. And once I started using them, it just made everything so much easier. The first thing I would suggest is keep your market watch window open. And the reason for that is that you can, first of all, take your symbols. You can define which symbols you want to show and which symbols you don't, if you have elected not to trade all 28 pairs. And once they're showing, you can drag and drop them to be in alphabetical order. So that's nice because you can't do that as easily down here with your tabs. So once you get them in alphabetical order, they serve them like a symbol changer. You simply go over, grab the pair that you want, you click and drag it across to your chart area, and it'll change your symbol. And it seems to be much quicker than a lot of the symbol changers that I have seen. And I have tried a few symbol changers, don't get me wrong, because I love the idea of them. It's just that I haven't found one yet that plays nicely with this no-nonsense Forex trade assistant. And that's so valuable to me that I would rather not have to worry about, trying to get it to work with a symbol changer. So I can just use my market watch. The next thing is keep your data window open. And again, it's so simple, but I didn't get this for the longest time. What this does is it will help you see exact values for what it is that you're trying to evaluate. So you don't have to look at your indicators now and say, oh, that kind of looks like it's at the line, or maybe not. You don't have to depend on eyeballing it. You can actually come over here and see the definitive values. So use that window. Don't approximate. I do understand it takes up some valuable real estate space on your charts, but I just think it's really handy and it's worthwhile. And lastly, make sure all of your little data that you need is visible. I would go through, and depending on how far open or closed I had these different windows extended, I may have been covering up certain things. And then I'd have to take time and say, oh, wait a minute, let me readjust my screen here so that I can see those things. So make sure you've got all this extra data available. And once you do, always save your template. Hey, if you want to, save them under different numbers, different names, whatever's going to work for you. But just make sure you can always get back to it really easy. So again, it's just a lessons learned. Set up a useful layout. The next one is make sure you make your life easier with tools. And there are a ton of tools out there, especially from MetaTrader 4. And for those of you that are using TradingView and MetaTrader 5, I assume it's the same way. I just deal with MetaTrader 4 myself. But one of the things that I talked about was in another video where I talked about my baseline. I talked about why I like to use the CQ baseline in particular, because it gives you those visual cues every time price crosses and closes on the other side of the baseline. It'll actually drop a dot on your chart, which is really nice, and it saves a lot of time, so why not? The other tool that I can't live without is the no-nonsense Forex ATR. And this is nice because you don't even have to have the ATR open in a separate window. It puts those values right on your chart. And what's really cool is if you hover over a candle and you click on that candle, it'll automatically plot out your take profit and stop loss levels, all according to the ATR. So pretty cool. And I have to tell you, this is so helpful, especially during back testing. Okay, when you're trying to look at what would have been a winning trade as opposed to not. Also, of course, the no-nonsense trade assistant, it is very helpful. It automatically calculates 2% of your risk. It automatically opens 2 trades at the same time. And it even somehow, in its magical way, programs that when the first trade hits take profit, it automatically moves your second trade stop loss to break even. So pretty nice, because that can happen at any time. And as long as you have your computer on and that program open and running, it'll take care of that for you. And finally, there's other things that I have just put together myself. Now, I can't take full credit. I've gotten so much support and ideas and input from especially the No Nonsense Forex Discord group. But I like to take all that information and then kind of create my own pieces, such as the Forex News cheat sheet. So I've actually put together a cheat sheet for that, and I'm very visual, so it has to stay plastered up right in front of me to help keep me in line with following those Forex news rules. Other types of things that I've done, and I don't have them listed here, but I've done like a cheat sheet for your PIP stop loss and take profit calculation. So if I am backtesting and I'm not able to use the no-nonsense Forex ATR, then I have a cheat sheet. All I have to do is to see what the ATR then is, and then it's just follow over and see what 1.5 times that is. So just little things I've put together along the way. But whatever you can get your hands on, whatever's going to make life simpler, definitely use it. Because this does get tedious. It's a lot of work. It's not a joke. So anything you can do to make it easier and quicker and more efficient, more power to you. Third thing, get organized. Obviously make a plan and stick to it. Now, I've seen some different examples of overall trade plans out there in the past. But none of them really were all-encompassing for me. And so I wanted to write down everything every last little thing, so that I could always pull back to this and say, is this what I'm doing? Is this within my plan? So I broke down and I put together my own template for a trade plan. This is just a little snippet of it. It's not the whole thing, but obviously you can put whatever you want in here. The trick is, don't just think about it, write it down. And if a template like this is helpful, then great. And that's what was helpful for me. So I put it together. So I have things in there like my initial account size, what I anticipate it to be. What is my risk tolerance? What are some of my goals? Where do I want to go with this? And so the goals are things that you will use as metrics to later go back and evaluate. Was this a successful system in terms of whatever you set up? For instance, a win rate of greater than 60%, an ROI of greater than 9%, and that would be an annual ROI, profit factor greater than 1.4, and a drawdown less than 4%. Again, you're not always going to hit this, and it's not to say you're going to right out of the gate, achieve these goals, but you don't know what you're shooting for unless you write them down. And of course, write down your algorithm there, because all the details, what it is, what the settings are, what time are you going to trade, what is your trade entry strategy? And this is right out of VP's rule book. First trade has a stop loss of 1.5 ATR and a take profit set to 1 ATR, and second trade has the stop loss but no take profit. Write down your trade management, your risk management, and it just goes on. And other things that I include are like, what's my daily trade routine? What is it that I want to do each and every day? What time do I want to do it? And then maybe any other thoughts and like golden nuggets. So this is just a way for me to get it all down, document it, and not just have it on the brain, but write it down in front of me. And the next lesson learned is be consistent on your trade entries and exits. This, I have to tell you, this one was a big lesson for me, and it took me a while to get it. But once I did, boy, this was very, very helpful. I did another video where I talked about the no-nonsense Forex entry rules flowchart and the exit rules flowchart. So definitely, if you haven't seen that, check that out, because it goes through a whole series of things that have to happen in order to be these different types of entries and exits. But what I did is I made myself a cheat sheet here where I actually wrote it out specifically for my algorithm. So whatever system you're using, whatever is your C1 or your confirmation indicator, what has to happen visually for that to trigger, and what other things need to be in alignment for you to take a valid C1 entry? Likewise, what does it look like, and what has to happen before you can take a baseline cross entry and a continuation entry? Same for your exit rules. What's your exit indicator, and what is it going to look like to serve as a signal to get out? Likewise, a baseline cross, maybe your C1, C2 flip, or if you do use any kind of trailing stop. So again, I have this sucker printed out and plastered right in front of me. So before I make a move, even though I know these things, I know them, but I don't always remember them. Does that make sense? So I have to recheck and check this little cheat sheet and keep me honest. And the fifth lesson learned is keep a trade journal. Now, you've probably heard a lot of people talk about this, and I agree it is very, very important. And it's something, honestly, that I didn't do right away because I didn't really see the value of it. But as I got more into my forward testing and I started to think about going back and looking at unsuccessful trades or ones that did really, really well, I didn't have a lot of opportunity to go back and analyze those as well as I wished. So I put together, again, a little template for the kinds of things I like to record in my daily trade journal. I used to do this all by hand, and then I figured, I'm just going to make a template again. What do I do? So this is a daily template that it's just a Word document, and it can be the table. You can just copy and paste it, copy and paste it, copy and paste it, and then go in and fill it in. Once you get several of these pages outlined, it's really easy to go in and update it. So what do I have on here? Well, I have a date, a day, and the first thing I want to look at are my open trades. Is there anything that's currently open and that I need to watch out for? And I don't always record like the levels. It just seems like too much detail to me. You know, I don't really care what the level is, but what I do care about is where are we? Are we in the positive for pips? Are we in the negative for pips? And how many? Because I may look at this Euro Audi tomorrow. Well, not this one because I exited, but let's say Audi Chef. Well, on 224, it was down 24 pips, and look at that. The next day, it's up 12. So it's doing okay. So I put down what the pips are, and then I put down what am I going to do with it? Am I going to hold it or am I going to close it? And if I do close it, why did I close it? You know, what type of exit was it? Are there any other notes? And another hint is don't just write down your pip numbers. Record your thoughts about each trade as well. Your feelings. What was it about that trade that worked or didn't work? So then you just repeat for the next day and you just keep it going, and it makes a nice documentation, and you can actually go back then to the very day and you can find it on your chart, those candles, and re-evaluate each one of your trades if you choose to. And if not, you know what, even if you never go back and look at it again, just taking the discipline to write down these things and follow your trades in detail is going to serve you well overall. So those are 5, but I do have just a couple bonus lessons here, and these are probably the most important. Number 1, what did I learn? Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't let a little failure discourage you. I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep on plugging away. Like I said, I'm not making daily videos anymore and doing that exact system, but I'm going to continue working on new and better ones. Keep on testing and improving. There's always going to be room for improvement. Don't get complacent. Don't get too comfortable. You may have something that works really well. That's great, but never stop learning, never stop improving. And finally, find support in whatever community you can, whether that's on a Discord group or through a YouTube community like this one. Maybe it's a Facebook group. I don't know. Whatever kind of community that you can find that is going to be helpful for you. Anyway, there you go. Those are my 5 lessons learned. Hey, wait a minute. Before I let you go, I just had a thought. It occurred to me when I was making this video that I've got a lot of this stuff that I've created to help me, just myself, in trading, and it might be kind of helpful to you too. I don't know. So if I can find a way to kind of package these tools and templates and cheat sheets and things together and make them available for you to download, would that be helpful? Would you be interested in that? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see what I can do. Now, no promises. I'm not the greatest, with technology here, but I'll do my best if it looks like it's something you want. Anyway, you guys stay safe and happy trading.